What's going on YouTube? Baltmatrix here, and today we are taking a look at MakeToys Remaster Ironwill. This is obviously a not hardhead figure, and to be honest, it's freaking enormous and awesome on so many levels. I do want to get a complaint right out of the way, and I have one major complaint, and that has to do with the guns. The guns, while molded, are fine. They look awesome, and they sit in his hand with no problems. There is, however, a problem with the little pin that holds the handle together. When you fold the handle up, you get this little port where you can combine it in vehicle mode. Little problem. The pins on both weapons are just a little bit too loose. I'm sure I could fix this with some floor polish or nail varnish remover or whatever, but this is the only thing I could think of to complain about the figure. Really, I'm serious. This is an absolutely fantastic figure and is actually better than Cupola. For a quick size comparison, here's Cupola next to Ironwill. As you can see, they're pretty much exactly the same height. And they are also the same height as MP10 Prime. Taking a look at the overall detail of the figure, you will see a lot of attention has been made to this guy. It's so nice and just so finely detailed. Those treads on the knees and on the elbows and on the back of the shoulders, those are rubber. Those are fully rubber treads. Everything locks in well. He's got good posability, which we'll take a look at here in a second. And just overall, it's a fantastic figure, both in feel and in aesthetics. In terms of posability, he is absolutely rocking it. He's got joints everywhere. He's got nice feet that turn and move and bend in and out. He's got plenty of posability in the knees. No hip swivels, but he does have ratcheting joints in the torso or in the hips. Overall, torso articulation is pretty good, though the backpack does get in the way a little bit. Shoulders and arms are fully rotatable, and he's got plenty of elbow articulation, though you can see there in the back, his elbow is a little bit exposed, so he's like missing part of his elbow. Head is on a kind of a set of swivels, much like Cupola is, and, well, his shoulder cannon fully articulated. Let's talk about his head for just a minute. This figure comes with not one, but two different faces. The first face we have here is the G1 cartoon face, and this is the face that I prefer. You can easily swap it out with the G1 comic book face, or the original figure face. So just get your thumb underneath the sides here and pop the head off, or pop the face off and slide it out. And then we can easily slide in and peg in the new face. So there we go. Personally, I like the one with the mouth guard. The head's transformation is very simple. Come up to the side antenna here and pull them away from the top of the head. Turn the head over to show the little headmaster dude. Unfold the legs, and that will slide the front of the head over the face. Fold the legs out, split them open, and here we have a nice little posable headmaster dude. The little headmaster dude is very well detailed, and I wish I could get the camera to zoom in more on this guy. He's just so well detailed, and he's got an absolutely fantastic face sculpt, and as you can see, the camera just doesn't want to do it. I'll see if I can fix it a little bit in post, but the head sculpt is just beautiful, and the overall look of the little headmaster is rad. Now, for size comparison, here is back from, or forth, one of the new Minicons, and I've also got Major Mayhem, the Bumblebee RID Battle Pack Minicon here, and let me just transform him real quick so you can get an idea of his scale. So he's about the same size as one of the more humanoid standing Transformers RID Minicons. One last thing about Ironwill before we get into the transformation is he does have tech specs. So flip open his chest, and he has some nice tech specs there. They're painted on. They don't move, unfortunately. Oh well. Now let's go ahead and get into the transformation. And before we start, I do want to say one thing. This is much, much easier than Cupola's. Cupola's transformation is frustrating. This one, actually pretty darn easy comparatively. First, we remove the head and put that off to the side. Then we take the arms and we will collapse them up, or the forearms, and collapse them up into the shoulders. Come to these sections that are just behind the fists and lift them up and out of the way. Close the fists and turn them so that the palm of the fist is pointing towards the ground, and fold that up into the forearm until it snaps into place. Then grab the tread section here and flip this piece that was behind the wrist all the way out before closing, and that will form a nice solid tread like that. Only issue I have in this mode with this transformation is the front tread doesn't peg in well to the top, so just be aware of that. It will be taken care of later in the transformation by something else, but just if you get this figure and you're figuring that it's not working, just be aware of that. Okay, next we're going to move on to the legs now that we've got the shoulders done. For the legs, we're going to start at the feet by just tipping the figure over and coming to the bottom of the feet, flip the heels up into the bottom of the feet, come to these weird protrusions coming out of the back of the legs and push them up towards the robot body. Then come to the inside of the legs, and there are these little panels right above the feet. Flip them up until they slightly or gently peg into place. Grab the legs, and then we will split, or have the figure do the splits like that. Come to the back of the leg, or the bottom of the leg, and open it up, and then take the entire leg and bend it down. But before you bend it down, be sure to come up to the thigh and flip up this gray or this brown piece. That will allow you to bend the entire leg down and then slide it down along this track, and this gray piece will then peg into the bottom there. So slide that along and snap that into place, and then close up the tread. Oh, and the front shoulders have a tendency to get in the way. So before we do that, we could flip the entire chest section forward and snap that into place. And then grab the front tread shoulders and shimmy them up on this double hinge. So then that will give us clearance to fold the leg down, close it, and then peg it into this peg hole right here. Now I realize if you already have this figure, I did skip a few steps there, so I'm going to show you this step by step the correct way. First, come to the front, fold up that lower thigh bit, open up the back of the leg, let it flip down. When the thigh bit is folded all the way out, you can then slide the knee down into the bottom of the foot. Reach inside the section that was the back of the leg and flip out this panel. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to close this. Close this section up over the legs and then peg it into place right in that peg hole. Then grab the foot, flip it around to the back of the top of the foot, and then that's paneled, or that piece that we slid forward before, slide it down and peg it into place. And then finally, the last bit for the back of the vehicle mode is grab this thing that's on his butt. It's his butt flap. Fold it out and down, and these two green pegs will peg into these peg holes back here. And that's actually the hardest part because they do require a little bit of force. So the back of the vehicle mode, we're done. Now to the front of the vehicle mode, and this is where things get a little bit more complicated. To start off with, we need to grab these sections that are holding the canopy for the tank mode open and just unpeg the canopy for the tank mode. Grab this first one that is on the, if you're looking at the tank mode like this, on the left side, fold it out, and then it will accordion down, and this gray piece will then peg into this peg here in the green, this peg, and this peg here on the tread. And believe me when I tell you, it is not easy to get this lined up. After you're done fiddling with that, reach under the front and pull this brown piece forward. That does require a little bit of force. Don't worry though, you're not going to break it. Next up, we're going to take the cannon and turn it so that it is pointing straight up. Grab this green piece here and open it up. And then the cannon, as you get it just bent out of the way, this section will flip out and then slide across like that. That will allow us to free up this gray piece, and then flip this other gray piece around, and this other gray piece will peg in there. Now with the front treads done, we're going to come around to this gray piece, flip it around, and snap it into the green piece we just slid around. Take the whole front of the tank and spin it around to point towards the front of the vehicle. You do have to lift up a bit to clear the legs, or the rear of the vehicle mode, but don't worry about it. And then all we're going to do is open up the canopy, drop in our little headmaster dude here, get him situated, and drop him into place. One cool thing in the vehicle mode, you can store the extra face right along here. Close that up, and then just add some guns. I will fully admit this is an absolutely fantastic vehicle mode and a perfect rendition of the original G1 hardhead. I do have some problems with the guns that I did explain earlier. You see them kind of leaning down a little bit, but otherwise it's a really solid and awesome tank mode. It works really well, I think. You can see the little headmaster in there, and personally, I think the tank mode works a lot better without the extra guns. Just a little bit too cluttered for my taste. Again, overall, fantastic figure. Only complaint in vehicle mode is that these front treads do not stay pegged in at all. I'm constantly fighting with them coming unpegged. Other than that, it's really, really good. The turret moves around pretty flawlessly. The cannon is fully posable in multiple directions, can even be turned upside down if you want. And just overall, it's a fantastically detailed vehicle mode. And remember what I said, rubber treads? They totally work. They just don't work on this table or any other table in my house. They work on my floors, oddly enough, but just not on the tables because the tables are too slick. So the only thing I'm worried about with the treads, though, is after a while, I wonder if the rubber is going to hold up. But otherwise, I think this figure is pretty much perfect. As a third-party rendition of Hardhead from the original G1 series, I cannot think of a better implementation or a better company to perform said implementation than MakeToys. The Ironwill is absolutely a must-have. If you bought Cupola, I think you're going to fall in love with Iron Tread. But if you didn't like Cupola, then also Iron Tread is going to be pretty cool for you because it's not Cupola. It's nowhere near as complex. It has virtually the same posability. Some posability is limited due to, well, his bulk, but I find I like him a lot more than Cupola. So guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video review. I highly recommend picking this figure up. As always, I'm Baltmatrix. I see you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you next time.